Julia Efferz from Germany. I'm hanging out with Chris Gordon on hellblazerbiz.com.
So, good day, everybody. I have the honour and privilege of the company of Julia Efferz, lovely German actress this evening. So, how are you?
My God, your pronunciation is impeccable.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, I did. I've spoken to you before. I did learn German in university. It's what my degree was in. I've not spoken it in a long time though, so I'm really happy that I pronounced that correctly.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, wir können auch auf Deutsch reden, aber I think
Ja.
yeah,
Ja, klar.
I think
We
one.
got that. We would need subtitles, right,
We
for
would,
this
yeah,
podcast.
we'd need subtitles, and I can't be sure that I'd guarantee that I'll be able to translate all my questions straight away. I could
And
try.
whether the British sense of humor passes or whether it
Yeah,
gets lost in translation. It's all,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I mean, when I lived there, I saw Monty Python and Blackadder translated to German, and it was great. It just didn't. You couldn't get the sense. I mean, it's not knocking the language. It's whatever happens because it's such a unique humour.
I
Um,
know,
and
I know. And you know what? I have a confession to make.
go on.
For a very long time, I didn't get Monty Python. I didn't get it. They made us watch this in English class, and when you're a young German adolescent, I was watching it as like, where's the joke? Sorry, I know this is blasphemy. Eventually, I got it, and now I think it's super funny, and I like the British sense of humor. I love it actually, and I think it's actually quite similar to the German sense of
It
humor.
is actually.
It is, yeah, it is. But I don't know. It was at the time I felt it was a different culture, and I didn't connect to it at the time when I was younger. But there you go.
That's all right. My wife, my wife's been in the well, she's UK born and bred, and she hasn't got a clue. She really doesn't understand it still. So you're not. I just get blank looks when I say it. When I mean crying with laughter at certain things like the Holy Grail, and I thought in your general direction, and she's just like, you what?
Well, it is a very peculiar sense of humor, and and I guess humor always is. I mean, there's certain German comedians that I don't get either, and I think they're not funny. I think they're rather stupid, actually. But it really depends, and there's certain American comedians that I love, and others
Yeah,
I just I don't,
yeah.
no, it doesn't connect with me culturally. But yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a few comedians like that, especially nowadays as well. There's a different type of comedy, and I don't really. It's not the kind of comedy that I can understand or relate to. I'll just sit and watch, and that's really not funny. But if you put Blackadder or Monty Python in front of me with my humour, I'll tears streaming down my face, when everyone else is just sitting there looking at you, thinking, why?
Yeah, I know. It's strange what makes us tick and what moves us, what resonates. It's the same, I guess, with drama, romance. This being said, do you like Saturday Night Live?
I haven't watched it in a while, but I do like that. Yeah, I think that's
They're
brilliant.
doing pretty well right now.
Yeah,
They have a lot of material.
they do. Some of those sketches that they've put out have been absolutely spot on. The Spicer one was just
Spicy.
yeah.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy is wonderful. I mean,
She's a
she's
fantastic comedian.
mm,
I mean, to be fair, I was really worried about the Ghostbusters remake because I just wasn't. I'm very not sexist or anything like that. I was just like, it's just so much of a change from the original, but I love it. I think it's absolutely because Melissa
that was
McCarthy.
great.
Yeah,
It
Melissa.
was funny. It was fresh. There was nothing wrong with it.
No.
I mean, if I have to be critical, I would have to be critical of the concept of a remake per se. Obviously, that's up to discussion. Does a certain franchise need a remake? They're currently talking about. I don't know if you've heard it. You know that German film Tony Erdmann, which was nominated for the foreign Oscar just now. That
Oh
they
right, yeah.
lost. They didn't win, but it was this big sort of German comedy that was all the toast of the town at Cannes last year. So they've received quite a few awards,
Yeah.
and they're already the film is still in cinemas, but they're already talking about the Hollywood remake, and they
Oh.
want Jack Nicholson is coming out of retirement to do the male lead, and I mean I love Jack Nicholson, he's great, but I want, does it really need that? I mean, does that film need a remake? I don't know. Yes,
Yeah.
I get the whole thing about subtitles and perhaps the essence of a story not translating so well into another cultural language, but you know.
No, I know what you mean, especially so soon as well. I mean, my
Mm,
my view on it is, I mean, I'm friends with, and as you would be, with a lot. You are yourself a writer. I know that's one of the
mm,
things that you do, and there are a lot of talented writers out there, and it pains me to think there's all these talented writers, there's all these creativity and these stories which are not even getting looked at because the big studios, let's just remake something that was so successful, it'll be successful again because it's just got that name on it. And that's how I
yeah,
feel about it. And it's just,
I hear you. Or let's do another Marvel,
yeah,
whatever. Which comic character haven't we used yet? Or let's do another round of Batman versus whoever it is right now. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Who is it? Batman versus.
Batman
Is
versus
it
Superman.
Superman or
Yeah,
was it Captain America? I don't-
no, two different genres there, Julia.
Uh,
You've just
I,
annoyed everybody.
I mean, they're all kind of related, aren't they? Or married or divorced from each other. I don't know. But I must say, I'm excited about Logan. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it yet. I've heard so many good things about that. To be fair,
Mm,
it's meant to be the best. I mean, Hugh Jackman's just a great actor anyway, and
yeah,
and
he's a sweetheart.
and Sir Patrick Stewart in there as well. So yeah, it's a good mix.
Mm,
Cool. I mean, I'll try and focus back on the questions I had because we. No, don't
please
smile. So I've been. This is what we do, jabber away. So
do.
you did kind of mention what decided to make you become an actor or actress in the first place.
Oh my God, it's that dreaded first question.
Yeah.
So, Julia, tell me. Well, well, you know the saying, you don't choose acting, acting chooses you. I'm sure you've heard that 10 gazillion times already from colleagues. But in my case, it was really true. I basically I was discovered.
Mhm.
It was the old tale. I was discovered. I was 10 years old, and I my family had no connections with the industry. I guess I just grew up with a very vivid imagination. I loved telling stories. I was a little ballerina as a girl, as girls are, and I just loved expressing myself. And then at the age of 10, I won a reading competition in my hometown of Cologne.
Cool.
And I was scouted by people from the West German broadcasting company, so the
Mhm.
West German equivalent to the BBC, because they liked my voice and they liked what I was doing with the story.
Yeah.
So they said, "Hey, come on in, do a casting," and that's how I got my first part.
Cool.
And that first part was basically as a voice actor. And my colleague at the time was a little boy
Mhm.
called Daniel. And I don't know if you know him, but he's now a very famous actor in Germany. His name is Daniel Brühl. He's probably the most famous German export in terms of the acting world, and he's
Mhm.
doing phenomenally well. So I was sort of fortunate to work with and learn from very good people when I was little. So I did that for many years, and then I completely quit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, my story is a bit funny because I got started very early, but then I decided to focus on academia. I
Mhm.
come from a very conservative family, very academically, oriented. So I did my A levels. Then I went to university and I studied literature.
Okay.
And I actually had I guess, a slightly short-lived career in academia. I even taught for a while,
Okay.
including at UK universities. So, but acting never, as I said, you don't choose acting, acting chooses you. So at the back of my mind, there was always this performer, Julia, whom I'd kind of silenced for a while. And I was going to go down the route of academia, but eventually there comes that point where if you really are a performer, if you are an actor,
Mhm.
that acting soul will start rebelling and eventually you sit down with yourself and you say, okay, where is this going? And life is short,
Hmm.
you might want to give this another go. And I'd always been acting on the side. I'd never completely abandoned it. So I I had by then moved to England, and I had become involved in acting in England again.
Hmm.
So I decided, okay, let's give this a go again. And I hit the ground running. I did an industry showcase in London. I secured my first London agent,
Hmm.
got some great feedback, and I was being very gentle with myself, taking it one step at a time and think, okay, let's take the next step. Okay, let's see how the industry showcase goes. Okay, that went well. Okay, oh, I got an agent interested. Okay, let's see how that goes. And bit by bit, I just returned and that's it. And I can't really rationally explain why I'm an actor. It's just who I am, I
Yeah.
guess. It's what I was born to do, and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So that sounds very bit sort of spiritual, but that's the best I can explain
Hmm. No, no,
what
that's great.
acting is to me.
That is really good, and it's a really good way of saying it. It's like you're obviously acting. Acting finds you. I mean, people. I mean, I've tell everybody, and say everyone's really annoyed when they hear me say this over and over. I did it when I was in school. My
Yeah.
parents were. My dad was a minister, and my mum was a headmistress. So they wanted to steer me down the academia route. So I kind of dropped. I did drama. I was going to go to
Mm,
Lambda. I was going to take courses for exams for Lambda at the time, but I dropped it because it to be a sensible career for to go somewhere else, which was in my
yeah.
best interest. I
I
did the
understand.
musicals, and everything. I loved it, but if I was listening to you saying that, and it's just sparked my memory in the fact that since then there's been a lot of times where I've done whatever I can to sort of perform, even if it's not on screen or stage. I did reenacting for a while, about 10 years
Hmm.
ago. So it would only been about a few years after university I got into reenacting. So I was going around teaching people, but dressed in. We did World War Two to start with, and then I moved to Vietnam, and I'd go round the different places dressed as the Vietnam soldier from Vietnam and teach people. But I was playing the character of a soldier in Vietnam War. I made friends out there. So to me, that again, I was in a different persona. I was acting to people and who come to watch these shows, and then excuse me, then I've lost my train of thought. And then obviously came back. And then I did wrestling a few years ago. Not quite recently. I injured myself, which is why I finished.
Okay.
But it was acting. It was the actual character of which I loved more than anything. I enjoyed obviously the physical side of throwing people out of ring and stuff. Um,
Oh, wrestling is good fun.
it's a great stress relief. Believe me, when you've had a really bad day, you can spend 4 hours on a Saturday pummeling someone else. it's it's great, but we had to do characters, and I mean, I was twice the age of most of the kids there because I was doing it to get fit, but they all called me the king of promos, because it just brought it all back to me, and that's what the passion. That's why I started this up again, because that
Mm.
passion, because we used to do promos, so people stand up and they'll just give you a mic, and they'll go out and say, right, your character is this. Go out and give, a 3 minute promo in that character. This is what's, and I'd go out and they just do it constantly, and all these kids are sitting there going, and I'm not bigging myself up, but they'd just be sat there going, because I'd come out, I'd be like the English aristocracy gentleman, I'd be the camp as anything, oh, behave, that kind of, the camp press, and they just come out and do all these, and I just loved it, and and the feeling that it was entertaining people.
What it does to people, and sort of the imagination that it just brings to life. It's beautiful.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the kind of, yeah. So sorry,
Mm.
I know I didn't mean to draw that back on me, but I was listening to you and thinking that
No, no,
is
no.
true. And I mean, I was in an independent film last year, which my first step back in. So I'm trying to get back into it, and through my interviews as well, to get into
Yeah.
this career. Even if the interviews is for me is still the passion I can do
Mhm.
through it. But
No, I can totally relate to that. And I think it's a beautiful thing. The one thing I always tell people who ask me, so Julia, oh, so you're an actress, can you give me some advice? Where
Mm.
do I get started? And I always tell them, look, and I'm sure you've had that again 1,000 times before. If you can find anything else to do with your life other than acting, if you feel that that this could be your purpose and this will make you happy, then do that. Because as we've talked about this earlier, you have to enjoy the process.
Hmm.
Acting, when people ask me, oh, so you're an actress, so you must be walking the red carpet all the time, or oh, so what are you currently working on? And to be honest, I mean, for a lot of us, we get quite precious little time doing the actual acting. Of course, we do that as well, but
Hmm.
a lot of what it means to be an actor is everything that surrounds it, marketing,
Yeah.
and sending out applications, and establishing good relationships with casting
Hmm.
directors, producers, networking, going to film festivals. It's a lot of it's a very hands-on job, and it's not always, oh, I'm in theatre so and so and I'm performing.
Hmm.
Yes, of course, that happens as well, but you have to enjoy the other components of the job as well. Otherwise, you will not be happy. Um, and yeah, and I can, what you just mentioned about how that made you feel. As I said, it's sometimes hard to rationalize why I'm an actor. As I said, it shows me, and I just know in every fiber of my being when I'm acting, um, I'm completely there. I'm where I'm supposed to be. It feels, nothing has ever felt so right. And I mean, that sounds weird because obviously I'm very happy with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm sure you understand what I mean.
I do.
But in that moment, there's this, there is a focus which I don't get anywhere else, um, and this feeling that I'm right where I'm supposed to be here
Hmm.
on stage or in front of the camera or in front of a microphone doing voiceover or a commercial or whatever, or
Yeah.
even also teaching acting, things like that. That's where that's where the universe wants me to be.
No, no, totally understand that. As like I say, with that film I did last year with the Independent, most of the time I was sat there, and that's something else people don't realise. There can be a lot of waiting if you've got. I think I had 20 lines, and I was told to get there for 10 a.m. and I'd be finished by 5. I got there at 10 a.m. I didn't have any dinner with me because I thought I'd be finished by 5. I finished 10:30 at night,
Mhm.
and most of I was sat there, and but what you've just said, it's because it's the feeling you're supposed to be there. Even when I was sat, I was watching it all being done, and I've never ever had a feeling of this is where I belong. Even just watching everything, and it is. And when you're in the moment, when I got to my scenes, I was really worried I'd screw it up, but I got on there, and it was one take wonder on some of them. I was like, yes, and it's brilliant. And even lying on concrete, because my character's a nasty character, and I got acid poured over me at the end, which was
Mm.
deserved.
Yeah. Okay. Uh,
For 2.5 hours lying on concrete with my hands behind my back, waiting for them to film and take the cameras and everything like that. And I was just sat there with a big grin on my face because it was just like, this is what I want to be.
it's fun, yeah.
Exactly.
Ah,
Yeah. So that was a okay. So you mentioned theatre as well. Have you worked in theatre much? I
I
know.
have. I'm a classically trained actress, so I come from the theatre. The theatre is my ground,
Mhm.
where I'm rooted, and yeah, it's what can I say about theatre? I I would say, well, I have to give massive credit to England.
Okay.
Because part of the reason why I moved to England in my mid 20s was because I wanted to move to the country of Shakespeare.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be the actress I am today if it wasn't for England. So
Fair
thank you,
enough.
England. No, no, see, I mean it. I mean it. I went there, and it is such a rich theatre tradition, and I learned so much
Mhm.
just acting there. So I did. I mean, a lot of it is fringe theatre, of course. I haven't yet done any West End theatre. I would love to do that, but I mean, the quality of the productions in England is just so phenomenal, and
Mhm.
I just had a blast. I mean, I acted my way all the way from Shakespeare to sort of modern physical theatre like Mark Ravenhill, um, Carol Churchill.
Hmm.
So yeah, and theatre is, I mean, I love film.
Hmm.
I'm now working predominantly in film, television, as well as voiceover. Um, but theatre has this immediacy, and I'm sure many colleagues will tell you the same thing. There's nothing that compares to that moment when you're on stage and it all boils down to this concentrated, focused thing,
Hmm.
and there's a palpable life energy in the room between you and the audience, and no two evenings are the same, and the most amazing things can happen during a live performance, including screwing up, of course.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever screwed up massively, but you never know. Sometimes things happen, or just whatever. Sometimes props can take on a life of their own.
Hmm.
They start behaving oddly, or or just the stage kind of disintegrates. It's it's a fun universe, the
Oh yeah.
theatre.
It is. It's definitely. I mean, I did again. Props. Sorry.
Mm.
This is what I love about talking to actors because it's just spring. You know, it's my, this is where my show gets its name, Ramblings, from. I guess. When I did theatre at uni, because I did it
Mm.
as a hobby. There, I was a pantomime dame. That's got to be one of the funniest characters I've done.
Aw,
But
wonderful.
I did Macbeth, and I was one of the lords talking, and I was also the night watchman. I was about 7 characters, so I kept having to
Hmm.
costume change. And you mentioned the props because when I was the night watchman and I was sat on stage, I had the a men's night dress on, and it was in front of all the local high school kids. It was the same performance that this happened in, by the way, both things, and everyone was laughing. I didn't realise why. It's because the night dress had come up to my short, obviously past my knees. I'm not used to wearing a skirt. And so I didn't cross my legs or anything like that. So all these school kids were looking straight up.
Ah,
So
they were
I,
upskirting you.
upskirting. I only had boxer shorts on, sat on the side of the
Bad.
stage. And the second time when I was a lord, I had a pipe in my mouth. And I had
Hmm.
tobacco with tobacco in, and we were obviously trying to sup on the tobacco. And I'm not a smoker, so it was like, and giving a really big speech about how we think obviously Macbeth, something going wrong with Macbeth, what's happening with
Mm.
this, that, and the other. I bit on the pipe, and the lump of tobacco just slow motion flew out the pipe and landed right on the floor in front of me, and got a round of applause at the end for not corpsing, because me and the guy next to us, we were there. You know, all the kids crying with laughter as because they had all seen this, and me and this guy just got through the rest of the speeches between us, and everyone was like, "Way!" when we finished it because it was just like, well done for not. I mean, I laugh at the slightest little
Exactly.
thing.
I mean, I know it's super funny in retrospect, but in the moment, you kind of you have to deal with it, and you can't, and but that's where it becomes super alive and
Mm.
very dynamic, and to be, I also have to give credit to Uni Theatre in England, because I was also involved with Oxford University Drama
Okay.
Society while I was in Oxford, and.
Mhm.
And I have to I have to give it to them, the sheer amount of productions they put on per term, and the quality.
Mhm.
We don't have that in Germany, for instance. I mean, of course, there is uni theatre at German universities, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the same professional ambition. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember in Oxford, there were agents, London agents, coming down from London
Mm.
to watch sort of finalists perform on the stage in Oxford, and some of these kids got signed straight off
Wow.
the Oxford Uni Theatre scene, and I thought, wow, this would not happen in Germany. It's a totally different system. But I was amazed by the quality of uni theatre.
Mm, definitely. I mean, my dad used to play the drums, and they
Mm.
rest him, and he was a minister, but he's also a semi-pro drummer, and he played at Footlights at Cambridge when Hugh and
Ah, yes, of
Stephen
course.
Fry and Hugh Laurie were there. So again,
Hmm.
that you've got those. That's what I mean. You can see through uni theatre, you've got stars like this come all the way through. So that was one of the things he was privileged to be, to have those guys at stage at the same time.
And I can see why, because it's a good system.
Mm.
Because to me, acting really, it's an apprenticeship. It really is a hands-on job. I always in German I always say, how do you say that? Well, in German I would say, I'm a Handwerker, I'm a handyman or handywoman, almost like a carpenter, or you know, these old trades that you learn on the job. And acting, traditionally, historically, acting used to be a lot like that. It very much was an apprenticeship, and you would learn just by doing it, by acting, and you would get better and better and better. And I love the fact that at Oxford, Cambridge, other universities in the UK, you can just do that. You can, if you want to, you can be in 5-10 productions per term, and obviously academically you you probably have to negotiate and compromise. But I knew there were a few kids who kind of did every audition they could, and who were totally into this. And I think that's a great, for me, that's also, I mean, of course, drama schools are great, and I think that's a very good way if you want to become an actor. But also, if you get the chance to just act for 3 years at university, I think that's superb training on the job.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you've got talent, of course.
Yeah. Well, exactly, and it's a great way for, for young people to get into it as well, because they could just be there and they might just decide at that point, no, let's give this a go, and find that it's like you said, that it's drawn them right in. They're born to do it.
It's almost like it's a bit like rep theatre, repertoire, which I hear a lot about. I mean, obviously it's sort of it's really struggling also in Germany, but I know in the UK rep theatre is struggling. Yeah. Financially, etc. But that's what to me it looks like. Being at uni for 3 years, and then you can just be an actor and just do it.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant, isn't it? Fantastic thing. Being obviously in the German side of things as well, are there any big differences besides language between like the German film industries and the entertainment industries and like the UK and US? Are there any major differences?
Oh wow! How much time have we got? Wow! Oh, that's well, to be honest, I mean, there is a simple answer and there's probably a more complex answer. The simple answer is no. At the end of the day, we're all storytellers, and we're all trying to tell stories that are meaningful to us and that we think are worth telling. Yeah. This being said, the German system, well, how can I say? Okay, I'll try and be concise. Well, first of all, in terms of the system itself, I'll compare it to the UK mostly, because I know that one best. Yeah. The German system is much more regional in terms of the funding and in terms of productions. So, for instance, if you are an actor in the UK or a filmmaker, you usually want to be in or around London, because that's where everything is. That's where the big production companies are. That's where the casting directors are. That's where everything takes place. In Germany, it's not so strictly focused on just one city. So it's not just. You've got the
states, haven't you? The different states.
And we've got several bigger cities apart from Berlin that we also call media cities, or cities which have a considerable amount of productions and production houses. So we've got in the south, in Bavaria, there's Munich, which is home to the Bavaria Film Production Company. So that's a massive, and Bavaria is a very rich country, a very rich federal state. Oh, yeah. I shouldn't call it country.
They'd love to. I was going to say they wouldn't complain.
No, but it's it's a very rich, very affluent federal state. So they've got a very healthy, robust film and television industry down there. Then we've got the southwest. There is a regional broadcasting company there. It's not that prominent, but there's Cologne, my hometown, which is very, very, very strong in television, comedy. And then you've got Hamburg up in the north, which does a lot of commercials. So there you go. Then you've got Berlin, of course, and Berlin is more and more becoming the new center of pretty much for film, I would say. There's lots of American and international co-productions shooting in Berlin, because there are tax incentives, of course. It's relatively cheaper than compared to Paris or London or New York. And there's quite a big sort of Anglophone expat community as well in Berlin. So it's a very international city. So I think it's a nice, supportive production environment if you want
Yeah.
to to take your production there. What else in terms of differences or similarities? Ooh. Well, I guess we have a similar system to the UK in the sense that we have a public broadcasting company, which is
Hmm.
similar to the BBC. We also have, of course, private television, private channels. So that's pretty similar. In terms of the film culture, let's talk about this whole the stories that we tell. I think, of course, they are different. That's naturally to do with Germany's history.
Yeah.
In terms of filmmaking, Germany used to be very avant-garde in the early days of filmmaking, so the 1920s,
Hmm.
1930s, expressionist film, you know.
Studied
Uh,
at the university, so yeah. I mean,
mm,
what the Metropolis and
beautiful,
some yeah.
yes,
Free.
beautiful, stunning visuals, and also very daring social commentary, really, commentary on the society, on the
Hmm.
culture. And then, of course, you know, the National Socialist dictatorship happened, World War II. That was a massive caesura, of course, for Germany and
Yeah.
also for Europe. And afterwards, yeah, well, how can I describe German film? Well, there are some very interesting periods in German film. There was a strong demand for, I guess today you'd call it romantic comedies, you know,
Hmm.
feel-good movies, you know, these family-centered movies during the 50s, the 60s, and then all of a sudden you've got these auteurs coming up, like the New Wave in France, these very daring, young, hungry filmmakers who kind of say, screw our elders, screw
Yeah.
our Nazi parents. We want to tell different stories, and
Hmm.
that's where it becomes, you know, Fassbinder, Schlöndorff, all these greats, Margarete von Trotter, and of course Wim Wenders. And Werner Herzog,
Yeah.
Fitzcarraldo, you know, these the
Hmm.
1970s, and currently, then Germany became a bit sort of middle of the road again during
Hmm.
the 80s, 90s. It was all very identical rom-com comedy, a bit stupid. I wasn't excited about that that era in German film, but and now we have sort of a renewal in German storytelling, I would say. Now it gets
Hmm.
interesting. I've just mentioned Toni Erdmann, the German movie, which did really well internationally at Cannes,
Yeah.
got nominated for the Oscars this year. So there's a new, yeah, how can I describe it? You still get this, you still get the German staple diet, I guess. You
Hmm.
still get these historical films out of Germany, which are either dealing with the Nazi past or the Cold War era, so the GDR versus West Germany. And I think that there will probably always be stories to be told about that.
Yeah.
But I think the young filmmakers, because they've grown up in a different society and they
Hmm.
are preoccupied with different themes now. We live in a different world now, and there's lots to talk about who we are, where
Hmm.
we are within Europe, within the world, how we want to live. So I think we are starting to see these little these little germs kind of blossom and develop into, yeah, I don't know what. I don't know what it's going to be. But there are some good films, especially Berlin. There's something called the Berlin School.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but
No.
there's a couple of young filmmakers in Berlin. Victoria, for instance, was a film that was made in Berlin
Okay.
that did pretty well internationally. It was
Hmm.
also a very international film. There was very little German dialogue in it. I think the female lead was Spanish, and a lot of the dialogue was in English. But still, it's a German film
Hmm.
by a German director. So I think German film is becoming more international, and it's becoming more indicative of the diversity that's increasingly a sign of the German society as well,
Yeah.
because German society is becoming more diverse.
Hmm.
So Does
Excellent.
that answer the question?
It
I've
does
tried
actually.
my best. I mean, there's so much I could talk about.
No, no, you're right. I mean, as I say, I one of my courses in university, I did German, so we did lots of different sections, and one was film, and some of the best films I've seen are German films. I mean, Metropolis for a
Mm,
society film, as in that really, like we mentioned just before, the really early segregation of the working class and the upper class.
hmm
Spot on. And Wings of Desire, Der Himmel über
Oh,
Berlin. Like you say, that's a beautiful film. They
beautiful.
wrecked it when they remade it to be Cities of Angels.
Yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, the
That's the same
remakes.
question. Yeah, I mean,
But
I didn't mind. City of Angels was
it was a nice
cute.
film, but it wasn't. It
Yeah,
wasn't Der Himmel über Berlin. It wasn't the same.
but I mean, it's no Wings of Desire. Wings of Desire is, I mean, Wim Wenders is Wim Wenders.
Yeah, exactly. You just can't. You just
It's
can't beat that. I mean, the other thing, when I lived in Germany, it was in '96. So it's oh my, yeah. This is how old I suddenly felt myself when I remembered that was 20 years since I lived in Germany now. It was all Till Schweiger. I mean, he still remains one of my favourite.
Oh, bless him, bless
Yeah,
his heart. Yeah, Till.
Till
Um,
Schweiger, Der Bewegte Man, and Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is I think is probably one of my favourite all-time films because there was craziness in it, but
mm,
I loved it really connected with me, and I've got it in DVD upstairs. It
ah,
I really get upset every single time I watch it because I think the story behind it is absolutely amazing. And yeah, I mean Till Schweiger's like he's, for those who don't know who Till is, he's like I don't know, he's the German version of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Oh no, he's not really Jean-Claude Van Damme because he's not a fighter, is he? He's more, oh I don't know, Matt
this
Damon
is a
perhaps, that kind of.
that's a brilliant question. How could we explain Till Schweiger to non-German viewers? What?
Hugo Stiglitz in Inglorious Bastards. That's
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was in Inglourious Bastards.
he's been in a
He
lot
was
of good
also in
things.
this indie movie with Shia LaBeouf called the Necessary Death of Charlie Countryman or something.
Mm,
It's screened at Berlinale. Well, he, how can I describe him? You either love him or you hate him.
yeah.
I have to give credit to Till Schweiger. I've never worked with him,
Hmm.
but I have to say, whether you love him or hate him, this guy does his thing. He has a project and he goes through with it, and he has certain projects that he believes in, and he doesn't care whether people like it or not, but
Yeah.
he does his thing, and I think that's admirable.
Hmm.
And I mean, he has had a very long career, and he's still, he still has a career, and he must be doing something right. Personally, I mean, I'm not a fan of his acting style, I have to say,
Hmm.
because for me, but that's just me as a person, and it's got nothing to do with him as a person. It's just I just don't connect with his acting
Yeah.
style, because for me there's always a little bit of the heart missing.
Hmm.
That's the best way I can describe it. And there are quite a few actors who I think, yeah, they're doing great, and kudos to them if their film is doing great. I just can't connect with them in terms
Hmm.
of their acting style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
Oh, but there was one thing I wanted to say about differences in terms of the acting
Yeah.
style. That's actually something that is true. The British acting is different to German acting,
Hmm.
and I have difficulty describing how so. But I think because acting is communicating. It's how we express ourselves, and how we express ourselves, how we communicate is always culturally
Yes.
biased. It's how we are socialized within our respective cultures. So
Hmm.
somebody who was brought up in Britain will
Hmm.
express themselves differently compared to somebody who was brought up in a Germanophone culture. It's
Yeah.
just different. And I remember when I first moved to Germany after I'd spent all these years in Britain, and before
Hmm.
I lived in France and Canada. I was quite, I had a bit of a culture clash and a bit of a strange just experience with
Hmm.
the way my German colleagues were acting. I was like, what is this? This is not a judgment at all on any kind of acting style.
Well, no, you're
It's
right. It's a
just
cultural
different.
thing because it's it's the expression. There are differences.
Yeah, and I have to say, German actors do approach. I think they do approach the script and the character more from the intellectual
Hmm.
side, maybe, but I think it's got something to do with the way the German language works. It's just our language is just that way. It's very logical.
Yeah.
It's very precise. It's
Hmm.
very accurate. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful language,
Oh, it
actually.
is. That's why I love it. I just
Yeah, I can
absolutely
only
adore speaking
recommend
it.
everyone German. No, it's a fab language, because all of a sudden you can really pinpoint everything you want to talk about very precisely, and the acting, of course, has to come from that direction. So the heart, I think the heart, the emotion, that the irrational, uncanny side of acting in a German context probably will come after the intellectual, the textual side.
Hmm.
And I think, well, for me, acting in English has always come first more from the emotional, from the subconscious side,
Hmm.
and then the text and the words and the other part comes in. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Like,
I know.
it's oh god, sorry. Acting
So
process are hard to rationalize. I
it's like,
hope this makes
it
sense.
does. It does. I mean, maybe for me because I'm a linguist, so
Mm,
I've worked, I've been in that culture. I know that exactly what you're talking about
mm.
because there is a difference. So the approach to life and to
And
approach situations is
and
completely
both are
different.
great, and
Yes,
both
this,
are
this
valid, and with whatever works for you is great. And I think what's even better is if you are aware
mm,
of other approaches, and that even gives you an even wider range of tools with which you can work as
definitely,
an
definitely.
actor.
And I think it's
Yeah.
part of I voted to remain in, by the way, so, and I think that's part.
Oh, bless you.
But I think
I Yeah, sadly I wasn't able to
I know.
vote.
But I was going to say that's part of what I think is what's
Mm,
made the European Union is, speaking from Europe side of things, has been so great because it's opened up the borders, it's opened up the cultures to everybody. So people who may in the past have not understood, for example, the German culture, the French culture, the way, like
mm,
you just said, the mannerisms and things like that. Now there's been a much better chance to actually understand those and work with them, and it does it in every. I mean, I'm at the moment where I'm in Sony. I'm working with Polish. I've got German.
mm.
We've got Italian. It's just fun, and it's been like that for years where I've been working multicultural, and I
Isn't
think
this fantastic?
it's just it is. It's an amazing
Bloody
world where we
brilliant.
can work with people from. You never used to be able to do that, and I think that does help, like you say, for people to understand different acting styles in that respect because they understand that's just the culture and they respect and they acknowledge and work with the fact that people have different you with a different culture will have the different way of
Mm,
expression and it's unique and like I say it's all they're all brilliant and it's unique and it's what makes it great I think
yeah.
to basically just completely summarize what I've just said in a sentence it's great that uh, sorry if that made sense I muted myself probably sorry
No, no, no. No, it's very exciting, um, and in terms of my study background, my academic background, I also sort of dabbled in. I did literature, but I
hmm
dabbled in linguistics, and I mean, I grew up with French, English, and German. So, and I've just always been fascinated by how different languages have access to the world in different ways, and how they make sense of what they
hmm
see. The German language is very results oriented. Like I'm going, I'm going from point A to point B, and the English language has the present progressive. I am going from A to B.
yeah
So there's the process of going, and this whole what while I'm going, I'm doing
hmm
this, and I'm making a phone call. It's brilliant. So, sorry, this is sort of insider jokes here from the linguists, but
yeah, I know
no,
exactly. My lecturer Nigel Smith, my old lecturer, I'm friends with him on Facebook still. He's
mm,
he's a brilliant guy. He'd be interested because he taught us all about, and it's the way the voice speaks as well. So this is really like going into linguistic geekiness now.
yes, come on, let's be no, please, let's be linguistic geeks. I love that.
It's the palate as well because it's how people can,
It's muscular.
yeah, and I think that's how it would be benefit actors because if you find out from, you know, the way different people speak. I mean, the British we speak pretty much with the middle of the palate. I think the
Yes.
Germans very much speak with it, because ich weiß nicht is very much the front, and then if you,
Hmm.
towards the front, and if you this great, I loved it. I've never forgotten how he taught us this. And if you use the back, it's how the Americans speak. And so
It's
if you
more, yeah.
yeah, if you start putting on the speaking the back of the throat, you
And
can put on a bit
yeah.
of an American accent. And
Oh, you have a very good American
oh,
accent.
thank you.
Mine is rubbish.
I started out by doing Forrest Gump like everyone did when I was at uni. It's like, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna
Oh,
get.
I never knew. I need to watch. I love Forrest Gump, so maybe to plan my arrival in the Los Angeles market, I should probably prepare watching Forrest Gump. Um, no, it's funny because sometimes I work with an RP or with an accent coach in London, and she also made me aware of how where we place the sounds and depending on the language, and it was so funny how she could detect where my German sounds were located and now while I'm talking, I'm becoming very self-conscious because I'm checking my mouth and I'm thinking, oh, am I placing my sounds correctly? No, and she made me. She basically made me voice sounds in different ways and place them in different locations, and it was really fascinating. And it's taught me a lot about, for instance, how the English sound system works and compared to the German one,
Yeah.
and yeah, and yeah, the English is very much yeah, it's sort of towards the front, but not too much. I think it's sort of
Yeah, and the German
the
one's
mid.
slightly more forward than that.
Mm.
It's the way you place the tongue on the palate, isn't it, to make the noises? And I think the French is quite very. The French
Oh,
is really
the
to the front.
French is all you in the front of the mouth, and it's very petite and
Yeah.
it's very cute and yes, and it's always the accent is always at the end of the sentence, you know.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
I love the French.
Oh yeah, it's great. I do as well. But yeah, you're right. But that's very, it's definitely it's all about how, and I think that's probably as an actress and an actor that probably really does benefit knowing those kind of linguistics because you can get that working. That was a nice little trip down linguistic lane for.
Are we doing okay time wise? I
Oh,
don't
we
know.
are. Yeah, sorry. I know I'm
Are we
keeping you.
digressing?
We are digressing a bit. I'll bring you back.
Stop.
I'll remove some questions. It's fine. This has been fascinating. Now I think people will love this, so don't worry.
Really?
Yeah.
Linguistic geekiness, yes.
Okay. I've got some fun questions for you now. Anyway,
All right.
what's your favourite film?
Oh, Melancholia by
Okay.
Lars von Trier. Do you know Melancholia?
I've not seen it. No.
Oh my God. You have to see it. It's utterly depressing and utterly brilliant. But you know, Lars von Trier, the Danish
Yeah.
filmmaker of Dogma fame and Dogville and whatnot. Melancholia features Kirsten Dunst. And she's a massively depressed woman, and basically Melancholia is a planet that's on collision course with Earth. And it's basically like, so you have to imagine it's like Armageddon without Bruce Willis, who's there to save the day. So
Okay.
there's no happy end.
Right.
And Kirsten Dunst has a depression. And there's Charlotte Gainsbourg, who plays her sister. It's brilliant. It's total Lars von Trier. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. That was the film that made Lars von Trier a persona non grata in Cannes.
Right.
Do you remember
Yeah,
that
I do.
episode where he called himself a Nazi or something in the press conference? Scandal, scandal. That
Yeah.
was the movie.
Right. Okay. I
It's
do remember the
brilliant.
name of it. I just haven't seen it, so I'll have to watch it.
It's total brilliance. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. If someone made a movie on your life and you could choose any actor in the world to play you, who would it be and why?
Oh my God. Oh my God. I think I would. Does it matter how old she is?
No, no, not at all.
Okay. Well, I would probably. I would choose Christine Baranski.
Okay.
I was gonna say Bridget Jones, but that's a character, not
Yeah.
an actor. Um, so Renee Zellweger is pretty cool, but actually I quite like Christine Baranski. She's the you know Christine
I
Baranski,
do know. Yes.
totally yeah, accomplished American actress, wonderful body work. Mamma Mia.
Yeah, I remember from that. I remember she was
Speaking
in
of
The
which,
Grinch as well, wasn't she?
Yeah. Oh, she
She's
was
brilliant.
amazing. And there's so many great actresses. Oh God, Julie Walters. I mean, but I don't look like Julie Walters,
I was
but
going to say
she's.
there is actually a fake resemblance. When you smile, you can see a bit of Julie Walters in you.
Oh, I'd love to be in a movie with Julie Walters. I'm hoping they're going to make a Brexit movie, and then maybe I could play Julie Walters' estranged German granddaughter or something.
Why not?
And the Brexit will forever divide us, or maybe we'll have a happy family reunion. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not funny. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No,
Should,
you never know. You
shouldn't
never know.
joke about politics, but
I was going to
sometimes.
say it might be easier with a different thing than Brexit, but that wouldn't be Britain involved. That would be another country. I went there,
Oh,
but we'll move on swiftly away from there.
yes, yes.
What's the best experience you've had yet in acting?
Oh, probably doing a play in London called Secret Boulevard. That was a 5-week run in London, and it was fantastic because I just loved the character. It was a really, really cool character. I played a German emigre to Hollywood. And I was nominated for an Off West End Award for that part in the category of Best Lead Actress, and that was just amazing because to be nominated as a foreign actress for London Theatre was just a massive honor, and
Yeah.
I said, no way, what? But no, the critics liked it, and it was just a beautiful experience because the cast was amazing, and we were just such a lovely, close-knit theatre family, and best 5 weeks of my life so far.
Excellent, great. Sounds like a great experience to have.
It was.
Cool. Okay, can you tell me 3 random things about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm a doctor. I have a
Oh, okay.
PhD in comparative literature. I love to box.
Okay.
Like proper boxing. I'm pretty, and I have a very good left hook.
Okay, it's good that I'm in a different country.
No. I would never hurt a man. No, never. No. I don't go out looking for trouble. But I think it's nice when a lady knows how to throw a punch. I think that's a good thing. And I once worked for Disneyland Paris.
Really? Oh, right, okay.
Not as a character, but as a sort of salesperson in a boutique in Frontierland.
Oh,
And I was wearing sort of cowgirl boots and a cowboy hat, and it was freaky but fun.
excellent. Actually going there on holiday in October.
Oh, Paris,
Yeah,
Disneyland Paris.
Disneyland Paris, yeah.
It's so much fun. It was right after school, so I was looking for something meaningful and financially rewarding for the summer, and it was actually like a program for young Europeans actually to come and work in Disneyland, and I thought that's fun. Let's earn a couple of quid and have some fun and enjoy the summer in Paris,
Why
and
not?
it was fabulous.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going. Been to the Florida one, never been to Paris yet. So that should
No,
be
I
good.
think it's nice. I mean, I think they've expanded it a lot since then, but I think it's cute. It's a very cute. Well, for us working there, it was a very cute mixture of American corporate culture and French je ne sais quoi. So there was a funny mixture of both.
Okay. Yep, well, I can't wait to go. It will be like you say, Americanized Disney with French culture. It'll be interesting. Cool. I've got 3 more questions for you. You'll be glad
Cool.
to know. You've just attended Berlinale, which is one of the reasons, mostly that was taken so long to get together. The other reasons is because I kept. For people who don't realise, this is probably about the 7th attempt that Julia and I have tried to get together to talk.
Oh, we made it!
Yeah, we finally made it. So yes, tell me about Berlinale. It's a Berlin Film Festival. That's correct.
Yes, I'm not sure whether, I think in the international vernacular, it's probably called the Berlin International Film Festival, but we always call it Berlinale. In German, it's called Berlinale. So, the Berlinale is it's one of the so-called A festivals. It's one of
Hmm.
the most important festivals in the film festival calendar. It's basically like every film festival. It's 10 days of utter madness, running around, trying to squeeze in film screenings.
Hmm.
And for me, as an actor, it was a mixture of networking events,
Hmm.
watching a couple of films, and also doing some political work. I'm just to sort of as a footnote, I'm also a volunteer for my regional branch for the German Actors Union, which is the
Okay.
German equivalent of Actors of Equity. Sorry, Equity
Right.
UK. Equity UK. So I'm sort of part of the organizing sort of group for the Berlin region, and so we've sort of teamed up with a few political initiatives. We're currently addressing things such as the gender pay gap or or retirement for actors. So
Hmm.
during the Berlinale, we've had a few events that I was also involved with. And what else? Yeah, Berlinale. In terms of the program, it's an interesting festival. It's not always. Some people say the Berlinale is a very political festival, and the films that are screened there, there's always a
Hmm.
deeper meaning, or they sort of they're more in the political spectrum of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely think it's. I tell everybody who's interested in film festivals, go and attend Berlinale. I think it's a very interesting, rich festival. The only downside to it is that it takes place in Berlin in February, which
Hmm.
is a bloody nightmare in terms of the weather. Everybody's freezing, everybody gets a cold, which is why I got a cold and we had to postpone one more time. Um, and it's just not, and especially for us girls, well, you know, we when we go to these evening receptions, we
Hmm.
dress up, of course, and then you wear your high heels, and when you've got like 10 centimeters of snow and slush, it's a bit difficult. You
Hmm.
don't always want to pay for a cab. Berlin has a fantastic public transportation system. So what I now do during the first couple of years I attended, I had blisters after 2 days. So now I always take a bigger bag and I have my comfy trainers
Right.
in there, and I swap them at the code check.
Fair
And then
enough.
I bring out the stilettos, and then you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else can I tell you about Berlinale? It's a very one thing also that's specific to Berlinale, because Cannes, for instance, is different again.
Hmm.
Cannes is only for industry. The Berlinale specifically is what they call a Publikumsfestival, so it's a festival for the people.
Yeah.
So everybody can get tickets, and I
Okay.
think that's a very nice thing. So
Definitely.
of course, you know, and I think that's just brilliant. Of course, if you are a member of the film industry, you can
Hmm.
get accreditation and you get your tickets for free. But even if you're a member of the public and you want to see a film, even if it's a red carpet event at the main sort of screening palace
Yeah.
where George Clooney will walk the red carpet, you theoretically you can get tickets for that. Of course, the tickets
Cool.
sell out
Yeah.
very
Like that.
fast. So you should bring your sleeping bag and you should be prepared to start queuing sort of at 3 a.m.
Hmm.
If you want to really get that premiere screening. But it's possible, and I think that's actually a very nice thing about Berlinale.
Cool. It is different, like you say, because most film festivals, like Cannes and everything like that, they are this exclusively for people in the industry. So it's nice to be able
Yeah.
to open that up for everybody to go and
Mm,
take part, and it enhances profiles for yourself as well. You know, because you can get to mix with people
mm.
and talk with them as well. It's great. Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Two questions left. I'm going to leave the trick. It's not a tricky one. I'm going to leave the fun one till the end.
Oh, God.
What have you worked on recently, and what have you got in the pipeline? What's coming out? What can we? What
Ah,
I
yes.
know there's a couple of things I've seen, so plug away.
Oh, God. What I'm currently working on, I've just finished. Well, me and my co-producer, we finished a comedy short film
Hmm.
that we're currently sending to festivals. So we have an agency representing us in that regard, and they are sending the film to festivals. The film is called The Assistant, the Doctor, and the Cosmic Hug.
Okay.
uh, Cosmic hug being the operative word here, because basically I play a hugging coach,
Hmm.
an anthropologist and a hugging coach slash hugging coach, Dr. Susie Ann.
Yeah.
And she plans to have her own show as well, like Dr. Phil and all these doctors. But that's that comes later. For now, she's got this hugging DVD, and she's got the world's only certified hugging program.
Hmm.
And so she's teaching you how to hug properly, because a good hug means technique, and the whole spiritual side.
Hmm.
And lots of people have difficulty with hugging, and it can really screw up your life. So don't despair. There's Dr. Susie Ann, and she will teach you all about the cosmic hug. So that's the short film, and it
Cool.
was born out of this crazy idea that I once had, because I've always admired the free huggers, that give out the free hugs,
Oh yeah.
and I've always laughed at the American sort of shopping channels, these infomercials that
Hmm.
go on forever and ever, like App Fab Trainer number 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we sort of combined the two, and we went with a free hugger who wants to make lots of money out of his
Hmm.
free hugs, and that's how
Okay.
Dr. Suzanne was born. Um, Another project I'm currently working on. We stopped filming during the winter break because of the weather,
Hmm.
but now we are going to resume filming another comedy, which is called Ass Angel Kisses.
I was looking like Ash
So
Engel
this is,
Kusse.
yes, I'm not sure if Ass Angel Kiss is a word, but I'm going to declare it a word now. And so Oxford or Cambridge Dictionary of English,
Hmm. Yeah,
take
put
note.
it in.
Basically, the English expression would be a blessing in disguise. In German, Arschengelkuss, the kiss of a shitty angel, basically,
Yeah.
or, or a mean angel. It's basically when something bad happens to you, and the character I play, Norma, she's a bit of a Bridget Jones type, so she
Hmm.
kind of stumbles across all kinds of problems, and whatever she does, she always ends up screwing up, and nothing works out the way she wants it to
Hmm.
work out. What she doesn't realize is that there is a meaning to that, and behind that, behind all these bad things happening to her, there's actually there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and she just needs to hold on for that little while longer.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done, I guess. So there you go. That's Ass Angel Kisses. Oh, another thing that it's still very hush hush at the
Hmm.
moment. Well, it's a basically it's I'm currently pitching a web series. Again, it's comedy. My God, people will think I'm a comedian. I'm not funny. I'm bloody German, for Christ's sake. And I am a serious actress too, I don't only do comedy. But I'm currently pitching a web series set in Berlin, but it's going to be an international web series. I might actually shoot it in English or sort of in various languages. We'll see.
Okay.
And it's a bit of a glee club for mid-30s losers.
Right.
And it's got a little bit of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt in there as well.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know that series. I think it's hilarious. Well, it's these unbreakable losers.
Right.
It's going to be a bunch of mid-30s to early 40s people in
Hmm.
Berlin. Berlin can be a slacker paradise, and I think I'm going to put this bunch of losers together, and they're going to try and make the most out of
Cool.
their desperate situations.
Sounds good.
And there's going to be singing in there as well.
All right. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds very intriguing.
So yeah, so that's me for now. So that keeps me busy.
Fantastic. Some good stuff's come out there as well. Looks. Keep an eye out for those. Yeah.
And
Especially.
of course, there's Cannes Film Festival coming up in May, so
Of course. Yes.
slowly getting ready for that.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's going to be a big one as well, isn't it, for you? So.
It's a lot of fun. I mean,
Hmm.
it's and of course it's May, and it's the south of France, so the weather
Yeah, it'll be
is
lovely.
usually pretty decent.
Yeah, better than February in Berlin.
Yeah.
Excellent, cool. My last question then for you is the one you've probably been dreading. It's not bad. It's
Is that
fine.
the trick question? No,
No.
the weird question.
Yeah, it's a weird question. Someone asked it to me. I had Mike Quinn on, who's been a Muppeteer for
Right.
35 years, and he's been with Jim Henson and stuff and everything like that. And someone threw a question to me, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask everyone that question and I have.
Okay.
if you
Bring it on.
if you could be a Muppet, what kind of Muppet character would you be?
Ah, oh my God. I hope is that a Muppet character? Big Bird?
Yes, Sesame Street. Yes, Muppets, same sort of thing.
Is that the same?
Yes, that's Jim Henson. So yeah.
Okay, does that okay? Yeah, Big Bird, and I think in German we call him Bibo. I think it's. I'm not sure. I think in German the German name is Bibo, but it's Big Bird, the big yellow, funny bird. But I do have a bit of a cookie. Is it Cookie Monster?
Cookie Monster. Yes.
Yeah, there's a bit of Cookie Monster in me. But I'm mostly Big Bird
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
because he's just big and yellow and weird cute. So there you
Fair enough.
go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good answer. Not had Big Bird yet. I think Keisha said she'd be Miss Piggy because she's a woman who's determined and knows what she wants, which I thought was a great one.
Yeah, Miss Piggy is pretty kick-ass. I like her. But I'm not. I don't think I would be Miss Piggy. No, 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 no. And I wouldn't be Kermit. No, I wouldn't be. No,
Big
I think
Bird's
I
a
would.
good choice.
Yeah, Big Bird. I did like. Oh. Was there this Swedish chef?
Hurdy-gurdy-gurdy, put the chicken in the... Yeah.
Yeah. In German, he says Möhrepröp, I think. And oh my God! And I remember, and there was this scientific assistant whom I like. Was it
Beaker.
Beaker?
Yeah, he always gets blown up.
I have a. Oh my God! Should I say this or this? Okay, here comes some weirdness from Julia. Okay, you've got Beaker. I in my home in Berlin, I have a plush, a stuffed penguin, a stuffed baby penguin. Like it's a stuffed toy. Okay.
Yeah.
And no, it's really weird when you meet an adult. I think okay, so let's lift the veil. Let's be very open. I think it's totally cool for adults to have stuffed toys. Okay.
Yeah, naturally.
I only have one. It's a baby penguin, and I've named him Beaker.
Fair enough.
There you go. Okay.
There you go. It's in the open.
It's out, and I'm not ashamed.
Oh god, that's brilliant. And in parting, before I stop recording, is there anything you'd like to say to people who are listening or watching? Keep forgetting about watching bit.
Oh God, I've completely yeah. Well, I just want to say, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope it's been interesting. I've certainly enjoyed the talk. I think
Yeah,
it's been super
great.
fun. I hope I've not made a complete fool out of myself. But there you go, that's Germans to you. So, gute Nacht, guten Tag, auf Wiedersehen und passt auf euch auf. Und ja, be good and be creative.